What's going on, everybody? This is Owen from Owen's Rock and Metal Podcast. Welcome in today to episode number 40. Today, we're here to talk about GWAR live at Madison Theater. This was GWAR, the Return of GWAR tour. I'm joined today by my guest, Josh. It's a coworker of mine, friend of mine, and we went to the GWAR show together. So, Josh, thank you for coming on the program. How are you doing
Of
today?
course. Hey, I'm really good. Yeah. Doing great.
So,
Excited to be here.
happy to have you. We saw GWAR. We came, we saw, we conquered. You were the one who reached out to me about seeing GWAR. Was this your first time seeing GWAR? What sort of led up to you wanting to go to this show?
It's kind of an interesting backstory. Well, less interesting and more personal, I guess. So I'd known about GWAR I'm 37. I've known about them since at least, early 2000s. They've been around since the late 80s. They've been all over the place. Met you, really started kind of vibing back into rock, metal. Our discussions really kind of geared me back towards metal. Having you as a friend has really refound my joy as far as metal goes. We had been talking previously about my first concert. And my first concert was at Bogart's, this kind of like, I don't want to say like rinky dink, but it's a smaller venue in Cincinnati. And I was like, man, I would love to kind of relive some of those moments. My first concert ever. I went and saw In Flames, Kill Switch Engage. It was incredible. I loved the energy was just insane. I was 16 years old. That's 20 years ago. It's been a long time. But I actually went to the website and I was like, I wonder what are they doing these days? What's at Bogart's now? And there was GWAR. I knew they had a crazy stage presence. I knew they had a show. I hadn't really, heard their music or anything like that, but I knew I definitely wanted to see them at least one time. I actually surprised my girlfriend Shreya, who came with us, with the tickets, and I was like, "Hey, I know Owen likes rock and metal. Maybe he would like this. Maybe it'll be fun." And it was.
It was a great time. And we'll get into all those details. For me, my introduction to GWAR, I had kind of known about them earlier this year in May. I went to the Sonic Temple Music Festival in Columbus, Ohio, and we talked about that on episode 37 of Owen's Rock and Metal Podcast. So if you want my recap of that, you can go back and listen to that now. GWAR was at that show, at that festival. I wasn't there to see GWAR. I was there to see Metallica and some of the other big acts, but on my way out of the main stage, I believe after Rob Zombie had finished performing, GWAR was performing. And there was a huge crowd for them. And we were kind of like, okay, what are they going to be about? Let's just kind of stand here instead of fighting through all these people. Let's just see what's going on here. And it was crazy. There was the whole, if you're not familiar with GWAR, if you look them up, there's blood involved. There's a lot of blood involved. And they were spraying it everywhere. And as an outdoor show in the summer when I saw them in Columbus, and I wasn't there for long. I saw maybe a song or two. I was with my mom, actually, and GWAR is not her thing. So she's like, let's keep it moving. So we kept it moving. But I bookmarked that in the back of my head. Several months later, Josh here reaches out to me. He says, hey, do you want to go to GWAR? And I'm like, you know what? Let's go to GWAR. Why not? Got a deal on tickets. They were running some sort of summer promo. They were $25. So usually to see a good show like that, you're going to have to pay an arm and a leg, especially nowadays. So it was really good for the bargain. Something new. My knowledge going into GWAR, I knew no songs. I had seen some of their stage acts, so I know what they do on stage. And I thought, well, that's kind of fun. Let's go partake in that. Let's go kind of soak it in. But I knew nothing going in. And I think it was kind of neat for me to go in with a blind eye to the music side of things. Because usually bands I'm going to see, I'm obsessed with. I know all their catalog. I know what they're going to play. And this was a case where it was just going for pure vibes. Now, you had said you kind of knew GWAR. Were you familiar with their music, or were you kind of just going for the vibes as well?
I knew most about their theatrics and their crazy costumes.
Yeah.
I knew less about what was actually going to happen on the stage, and I was kind of blown away when I actually saw what happened. I think we were actually at work one day, and you were like, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know." We went with Shreya, and Shreya is a huge Taylor Swift fan, and crazy things happened to Taylor Swift, and she was okay with that, which I was kind of surprised about, honestly. But my first actual experience with them was I was on YouTube, and their singer passed away maybe 10, 12 years ago. Not 100% sure on the date. His name was Odorous Ungerus, and they threw a Viking funeral for him. So, they had, he was out on a lake. His casket was out on a lake on a boat, and they fire this flaming arrow, and it was incredible. Ever since then, I knew I at least wanted to at least experience some type of his legacy, because that's incredible.
And that we did going to see GWAR, obviously, as we've touched on, huge stage show, a lot of, we're going to get into it more, but a lot of blood, a lot of gore, a lot of just crazy like monster costumes that are maybe unappealing to some. I mentioned my mom, this was not really her cup of tea. You mentioned, you brought your girlfriend Shreya. Did you have any trouble convincing her to go, or was it she was really invested and really wanted to go?
I wouldn't say she really wanted to go. I think she didn't know what she was in for, and it was incredible. We had actually gone to see Lincoln Park in Philly back in August. We had just been to a concert. We were kind of riding that high. It had been a long time since we'd been to a concert before then. We were just kind of, got bit by the bug, and it's something I did when I was a younger man, and like I said, since I met you, it's been a great experience, a great resurgence for me personally, getting back into metal and concerts, and it's a great vibe. I appreciate you, man. You're awesome.
Well, yeah, I too love concerts. So if there's any shows you want to go to in the future, or if I see any shows that I think would fit your taste, I'll be sure to throw those your way because concerts are a great time. So let's sort of get into the show. So pre-show, we have the tickets, we have those secured. Talk a little bit about the attire that needs to be worn at a GWAR show. What is sort of expected from the audience? Because we kind of knew something was going to be coming, but we had to, for me at least, we had to buy a certain something. Do you want to maybe expand on that a little?
Sure. So initially, I was just gonna wear just a regular black shirt or
Close.
something like that. I had no idea. Actually went to go see a buddy, um, and I was like, "Hey, man, I'm gonna go see GWAR." He said, "You know the experience that you really need the first time you go to a GWAR show, you have to wear white." So I did, and I came out of there not as red as Owen, but
Yeah.
when I tell you, I was literally, my body was stained the next day. It was fantastic.
It was face, my shirt, my shoes, even.
We're
I went
drenched,
to
man.
police shoes, but we'll talk about this whole how we got there. But yes, I went out, bought a pack of white t-shirts because I was I wasn't aware that, that was the uniform, so to speak, and you had said something because I knew something there was gonna be blood, but I was like, "What are you gonna wear?" And you were like, "White shirts are the uniform." So I was like, "All right, I gotta get some Hanes white t-shirts." Went out and did that, and we'll just sort
Very
of
similar to what you're wearing right now.
literally almost what I'm wearing right now. Now, like a fake GWAR fan, I did throw my shirt away. Some said, "Oh, you got to dry it. You got to keep it and frame it." But I didn't go through all that trouble. But just to show the audience here, this is us after. So before, plain white shorts. You can't see my shoes, but those are also red. My legs are red. The shirt is obviously soaked. You got some on you too. It was a whole shebang. It was the whole 9 yards. So that's how we finished. But how did we get there? So, leading up to the concert, in addition to buying the proper attire and getting ready, there was an interesting sort of twist that occurred. There was a change in venues. So, this was scheduled for Bogarts, but then it got moved to the other side of the river. So, Bogarts, for viewers not from the Dayton, Cincinnati area, that's, a little bar slash club in Cincinnati. And then this was moved to Madison Theater on the other side of the river, Covington, Kentucky. So, I've seen a couple shows in Covington. So this was not a huge difference, but something unique that happened. But we were able to get there without any sort of mix ups or anything like that. So before we get into like the details of the show, overall, what did you think of the show? Would you go back to see GWAR again?
Uh, would 100% go back. There was a huge, diverse group of people. I love that I went with people that I knew, but I think it would be equally as fun to go with by myself, honestly.
Sure.
You obviously don't have to go and get, completely drenched or anything like that. If you were down in the pit, obviously you got more of it. If you were in the back, it was definitely less. We were more in the middle, so we got some of it. But Yes, I would 100% go back. I definitely recommend it. It's a very satirical, theatrical event, and if you like the music, hey, that's even better, man.
Yeah, definitely the music. And before we talk about like the music, as you said, we were kind of in the middle. I haven't really been in a lot of mosh pits. I'm not a mosh pit guy, but that pit looked to be really rocking and rolling. It looked pretty chaotic. I forget who I talked to, but I think it was somebody who was he was in a different mosh pit. I'm thinking of not GWAR, but there's bodies just flying around, and the added insult to injury, there's blood being sprayed on you from the stage, and it's just chaos down there. So I think we were at a great happy medium where we got blood on us, we got to see the GWAR experience, but we didn't have to wake up, bruised and sore the next day. And for you, the next day you were running a half marathon, so
Yep, right.
had a big commitment going, but you still soldiered on, went to see GWAR, and it was a great time by all accounts. So the GWAR, GWAR was the main act, but there was several openers on this tour. GWAR was the headliner, but there was also a band called Blood Vulture, a band called Helmet, and a band called Savage Master. If I recall correctly, we only saw one opener, or did we see two? I can't quite remember.
I think we saw the end of, I'm not 100% sure on that band.
Was it Blood Vulture? That
I
sounds right.
believe so, but we definitely saw Helmet. Helmet was crazy. Their drummer was insane. He was so quick, he was so fast, uh, great. I actually have a few of their songs on Spotify now in the rotation, but definitely a good experience.
I would agree. Helmet is actually, even though they weren't the headliner, they were the band I knew more of going in. I had listened to one or two of their albums, and just listening to some of their sound, just kind of seeing what they were all about and hearing what they were all about. And their one big kind of hit for me is a song called Unsung. It actually learned about that song because it sounds a lot like a Pantera riff, and people are like, "Oh, did Pantera rip off Helmet?" I would say Helmet as a band overall, based on what I've heard live and what I can recall from that show, they're not like super heavy. Like, just compare them to Pantera, they're not that heavy, but they definitely do a lot of interesting stuff. Their guitar player, he has like a jazz background, I believe, so he was doing a lot of unique things. It wasn't just, for my guitar players out there, like the open string, he wasn't just like chunking heavy chords. It was a lot of different stuff, but their songs are fast and they're kind of just in your face, and they move from one to the next pretty quickly. So it's really about the vibe, I think, with them. And I enjoyed seeing Helmet, and I would definitely, if they were supporting somebody, I would get there early to see them again.
I love their transition from song to song to song to song.
Yeah,
It was very
it
quick and,
was.
like you said, in your face.
Yes, they were no like downtime. There wasn't a lot of like talking to the crowd. Like certain acts, it'll be like, "How you doing tonight, Covington, Ohio? We're here to, do whatever."
We
Yada
got a
yada.
little bit more of that with GWAR, honestly.
Or definitely, they had some jokes, and I think one thing
Good
Gore kept
jokes too, honestly.
yes, one thing they kept doing, I think they kept saying the city wrong because they were in Kentucky. They kept saying different cities in Kentucky. They're like, "Oh, we're here in Lexington tonight," or "We're in Louisville." That's part of GWAR's stick too. And getting into GWAR, the actual show. So Helmet finishes, they have to clear the stage, and we kind of GWAR's got a crazy setup. So here's the stage. Now, I'm such a GWAR noob. I don't know any of their names. I looked up one of theirs last night. I think this is Ballsack, or this might be Ballsack.
I don't know.
One
I'm
of them,
not sure, but I do know
one of
one
them
of
is
them
Ballsack.
of them is on, like, he was definitely on stilts,
Mm,
and that was incredible that he was playing his entire show on stilts.
yeah, it's definitely crazy. There's me.
Yes.
So this is like kind of this. We weren't back here. We were in this next level, and then the third level down is the pit. And I think this was the last opening band.
This is definitely Helmet.
Yeah, okay, this is Helmet. Yeah, because this guy is the singer and he was bald.
Yeah.
So this
And
is kind of
they're
set up.
incredible drummer, yeah.
Yeah, they could really rock it for sure. So just kind of views from the show. We have the main man on the mic, and this just shows even after seeing GWAR, still a GWAR noob, but that's okay. It's about the vibes. It's not about being a total nerd and knowing every little bit of their history. But he's we talked about jokes, funny man on the mic. He was kind of in your face with the crowd. I'm trying to get a good photo. We'll talk about more of this stuff here, but he has udders, as you can kind of see here, and he sprays blood from those. They would hook up. I think didn't he spray blood from his suit here?
Yeah, so a scantily clad woman would come behind individual members and hook up a blood hose to them, and then they would start spraying into the crowd.
Yep, that's exactly right. You knew it was coming when you would see her come on stage, and we will talk about her later because she had it out for me at the end of the show. She totally nailed me on that song. It was unbelievable. So GWAR comes out. I believe it was their opening song or their second song. Elon Musk, the owner of Twitter, makes an appearance. They cut his head smooth off. They gave him a haircut at the shoulders, and I believe that's from one of their songs off of Scumdogs of the Universe. I've listened to a little bit of GWAR since then, so I've improved my knowledge some. He was not the only person who had appendages cut off. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, was there getting his arms cut off. Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, was there getting his arms cut off.
They went after everybody.
They went after everybody, and they spared nobody from their antics. And even Taylor Swift, the queen of pop music, was there. We kind of showed this photo a little earlier, but she's pregnant in this, and they rip the baby out, and blood's squirting everywhere. And this was the part when we saw them at Sonic Temple. They ripped the baby out. My mom was like, "Okay, this is enough. This is not for me. What the hell is this?" This was definitely something I knew was coming, and knowing that Shreya was a Taylor Swift fan, I was kind of curious to see the reaction. But when you kind of just let go of any sort of when you stop your pearl clutching and you just sort of enjoy it and just know that it's good fun and acknowledge it as that, nothing more, it's a great time.
If you're getting mad at GWAR for this, then come on, man.
Yeah, it's 2025. I mean, there's
It's
surely been
just it's
much worse
fun.
things. It is a fun time, but of the sort of guest stars, I don't think I'm missing any. I think that was everybody. Did you have a favorite?
GWAR.
Gorgor? Yeah, that's another thing. There was Gorgor. I have a picture of Gorgor.
Was expecting more to happen with Gorgor. He was gigantic on stage. He was a huge stage presence.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if something was going to happen if they were, since everybody else that they brought out, they cut their head off, they, tore out an aborted baby.
This is nuts. And this was the return of Gorgor tour. So this guy, for GWAR fans, will probably know about Gorgor. You can kind of see there's like a hanger here. So I think this costume just like hangs up, but it was kind of big, like a balloon, if I remember. And I thought this guy here with the sword, I thought he was going to just stab that thing and it was going to explode like a balloon, but that didn't happen. I feel like he sprayed blood, but everybody was spraying blood. Trump was spraying blood. They cut off like his whole chest and you could see his ribs and just blood squirting out. And we were far enough back that we would kind of have to get lucky for it to kind of spray through, or somebody would have to stand the right way. But definitely a lot of guest stars. Gorgor,
Look
he
at you.
returned. He returned. So there was a lot of that. So if that's not your thing, maybe GWAR isn't your thing. But I think if you're willing to have a good laugh, everyone can kind of enjoy what GWAR has to offer. So the songs, they didn't really stick with us. I don't know. After the show, have you gone? You mentioned with Helmet, you've sort of gone, added a couple songs on Spotify. Have you done the same with GWAR?
I actually have. They played Sick of You, which I had never heard. What I have heard of their catalog is incredibly low. And I know it sounds bad to be like, oh, yeah, I went and saw this band, but I've never really heard any of their songs. But they had Fuck This Place and they
Yeah.
had Sick of You, which were two songs that I've definitely added.
Mm-hmm.
They also played Salamanizer, which
I
is a
love
really
that.
funny one.
I love that one.
Um, there's another one, but I can't recall the title of.
Yeah.
It's definitely on Scumdogs of the Universe, though. Which I believe
So
that's their first album, if I recall
it's
correctly.
actually their second album.
Their second album.
Let's check this now so we don't spread misinformation on the internet. Well, Scumdogs, this is 1990, and they have one from like 88, so I think it's number 2. Going into the show, I was kind of like, what the hell do I listen to? So there's this guy who likes metal, on Instagram that I follow, and I know he's a GWAR fan. So I just commented on one of his posts, totally unrelated to GWAR. I was like, "Yo, I'm going to see GWAR. What should I listen to?" And he's like, "Listen to this, listen to that. You should be good." One of them was Scumdogs of the Universe. So if you're listening to this episode for a recommendation for a GWAR album, I would say Scumdogs of the Universe is probably your go-to. That's Sick of You is on there, The Salamanizer. There's another one. Sick of You was their closer, and this is where I sort of got soaked. So Sick of You is happening. They're going on playing a song, and it's kind of a sing along song. It's got the chorus where the crowd sort of joins in, and the lyrics, you let it go through once and you can figure out what they're saying. It's not that hard. So we're singing along, we're enjoying it. I'm really getting into it at this point. I'm headbanging, I'm thrashing around, I'm jumping up and down. Now, you mentioned this scantily clad woman on stage. She had a blood gun at this point. It would just squirt blood. It was hooked up and just blast in the crowd,
They
spray
like
it. Right. Yeah,
rotate it.
it was a
And they're
crime.
crank it, yeah.
And so then I'm, jumping up and down and she sees me. She looks right at me. Before this point, I was not too bloody. I was not too anything. But after this, I was not the same. And I just got soaked. I could feel it. It was cold. And I just didn't care. I was like, you know what? Let's embrace this. I did bring a change of clothes. I did bring a towel. This was all per your instruction because you drove and we could not get the inside of your car covered in blood. And that's how we ended up looking like this. Yours, as you can see, your blood's mostly dry. This was fresh, and
You were very fresh.
it was
Now, I gotta ask you, were you stained?
my skin. Yeah,
Yeah, was your body actually stained?
it bled through the shirt. It bled through the shirt. It got on my face. It got on my shins. It got even like through my shorts, like the lining of my underwear was stained. So like my Hanes or whatever, Fruit of the Loom, it was a little more red that night. So I was wearing
What did
white
I eat
shoes.
last night?
Yeah, I was wearing white shoes, and those were covered in blood. I still wear them around, and yeah, it was fun. I think showing people those photos, kind of like just the shock value of it's kind of silly, but I think it's a good time. I've read on like Reddit boards and things like that back in the 90s, GWAR's fake blood was like that would stain for good. Like it would not come out. I know now, I don't know if they've changed the formula or whatever, but they've maybe made it more easy to get rid of. But
So Shreya went to the restroom, and I don't know if you remember her coming back, but she said that one of the girls was down in the pit that she saw in the restroom, and her contacts were still stained red.
oh my gosh. Well, I know they make red contacts, but this is a certainly unique way to
Yeah,
get red contacts. But I don't think
right.
in your eyes.
Yeah, I hope she's okay.
Yeah, that's part of doing business at a GWAR show. There was also the person who didn't even get to see GWAR. They got wheeled out on basically their heels. They were so intoxicated they couldn't even stand up straight. But
This was before GWAR even came out.
yeah, I don't even Helmet might not have even taken the stage at this point.
You're right.
And this lady's just like she looked like a zombie, and she was being carried by like the pits, and she was being taken out. So she
It
missed
was
out.
like she was being wheeled out on a dolly.
That's exactly what the imagery I had. Another big part of going to concerts is hitting up the merch table.
Yes.
I did not partake in the merch, but you did, and you're wearing it right now. There's Gorgor on your on your shirt. What did you think of the merch they had? You got the shirt, but was there anything there that you didn't get that caught your eye, or how was the selection of merch?
There was one other shirt that I think I would have got. It was like a kind of like a Ocarina of Time shirt, like Zelda.
Mhm.
They didn't have it in my size though. I think I would have preferred to get that. Honestly, I think I got this one a little bit too small, but I still rock it. I still enjoy it. The merch was pretty good. They had a hat that I think I probably should have got that I'm kind of regretting now, but I don't, maybe next time.
They'll be back. I'm sure
Yeah,
they'll be
I'll be
back.
back for sure.
They definitely, like we touched on with the price and with just kind of the venue they're playing. They're not a band who's going to go play arenas and they're going to tour like once a year, like once every like 5 years. They're going to get out there, hit the road, and that's a great thing for people who want to go see him. I know there's probably GWAR fans who've seen him 30 times. They've been following him this whole time. I'm sure for some, it's kind of like an awkward situation, as you touched on earlier, with their lead singer passing away. Some might feel like this is fake GWAR or whatever. For somebody like me who had no knowledge going in, I still enjoyed the show. And I know we kind of talked about this earlier, but you would see GWAR again. The show is enjoyable.
100%.
Is there anything you would add to sort of sum up your GWAR experience on that night?
I had a ton of fun. It was great, man. I think it would have been a lot more fun if I didn't have a half marathon the next day.
Yeah.
Uh, there's Shreya. There's all of
There's
us.
the
I think it would have
gang,
been,
all of us.
quite a bit more fun if I could have had, some drinks and stuff like that. If we, kind of weren't rushing to get back home and to get in bed because I'm an old man.
Yeah. So talking about that, me the next day, I had nothing going on. I was just chilling. You ran a half marathon. So from GWAR to half marathon, how was that transition? Was there any point during the race where you were like, God, I made a mistake going to GWAR? Or you were never like that?
No, I loved it. I
Yeah.
had so much fun. It was incredible. I wouldn't have changed anything, honestly.
Well, I certainly agree.
Hold on one
It was
sec.
a good
Let me get
time.
Shreya real quick. She's
Okay.
here.
We have a guest appearance from Shreya. Wow.
Come on over. Here's Olaf.
Hi.
Hello, Shreya. Welcome to Owen's Rock and Metal Podcast. Thank you for coming on. As we have been discussing, you were at the GWAR show.
I was.
You got invited. What did you think from the time you were invited to during the show? Were you ever like, what the hell am I doing here? Did you ever have any regret about going, or how was your experience with GWAR?
Well, when he mentioned GWAR, I didn't know what it was. He said it's a metal band and they dress up in costumes. What I expected was comedy show with metal aspect to it, but it wasn't. And I looked it up and it was right before our marathon. So I was on the fence because he bought the ticket and 10 minutes later he was like, it's right before the marathon.
I didn't even realize it.
And he said, should we cancel? Like, no, it's fine. But yeah, and before the show, I kept looking it up on Reddit. Like, what am I supposed to expect? How long is this gonna take? Because I didn't want to lose sleep either. Because I wanted to be prepared for the marathon, but also enjoy the show. But I looked it up, and people said wear white, take earplugs,
Yeah.
be prepared to get drenched, take towels, and it was initially outside because they changed the venue.
Yeah.
Yeah, they changed the venue last minute, so it was supposed to be outside. So I thought, well, if I don't like this, I can go towards the, I don't know, drink tents
Yeah.
if I could, but it was not. But I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah.
It was really
Definitely.
fun. And then I looked it up and it was he said Monster it's a metal band that they dress up like monsters. And what it was and it was fun. I liked it. The yeah, go ahead.
What did you think of? We touched on earlier that you're a Taylor Swift fan. What did you think of the Taylor Swift experience with GWAR? Because she does make an appearance.
She does. Yeah, she wears an 87 Travis Kelce jersey with tattoos. And then she gives birth. That's great. But yeah, he called me in the afternoon and he was like, I have a bad news for you. I'm like, what happened? And he said, well, Taylor Swift is gonna make a cameo. And he said, it's a joke, but are you gonna? I'm like, it's fine. I mean, it's okay. It's a joke.
You're a good sport. You can take the joke.
Yeah, I can take the joke. It's okay.
You mentioned earlier, like you thought you were getting a comedy show with metal. I would argue that's what you got. I thought there was.
Because it was funny. I liked all of it. I like all the comedy they made of
Mhm.
everybody. Yeah, it was. I liked it, and the Taylor Swift aspect. I was fine with it. It was funny.
You're a good sport then. In terms of the GWAR experience, I feel like we have kind of covered the whole thing. As I mentioned, we're not GWAR experts by any means. We just wanted to share about this experience and
Yeah.
what it meant and sort of that time we had and share some photos and just kind of talk about it. Any closing remarks here before we finish up this episode number 40 of Owen's Rock and Metal Podcast before we sign off? Go.
He's gonna turn that in 3 years.
uh, yeah, yeah, he's an
Yeah.
old.
Closing remarks. I think I would definitely go again. I think I had a ton of fun. Even if even if we had a marathon the next day, who cares? I'd do it again.
It was fun. I would take earplugs next time because
Take earplugs.
weird enough, when I put my hands over my ears, I could hear them better
Mm-hmm.
because people were screaming and all the music and band, and it was so loud. But when you have your ears covered, surprisingly, I could hear the lyrics better.
Right. Yeah.
So earplugs next time. Don't forget it in the car, and know that the tickets, it's one entry, single entry only.
Yes, that was a mistake I did not make. I've been to enough concerts in the last 2 years to know earplugs are important. So I had my earplugs, so I cannot. Unfortunately, you guys did not. But GWAR was a great time. Glad I could go along with you guys. Glad for the invite, and we'll have to wait until the next show that we go to, or the next time GWAR comes back, because
Then
I
you
would go
should.
see them again. So that's going to do it here for episode number 40 of Owen's Rock and Metal Podcast. I want to thank Josh and Shreya for making an appearance on the show today. Go ahead and hit the follow button wherever you're listening to this podcast. Give us a follow on Instagram, Owen's Rock and Metal Podcast, all one word. We'll get clips of latest episodes and all sort of updates with the show posted on there. So thank you all for tuning in today. And as always, never stop rocking.